Hey guys, welcome back. I'm so excited to share that my husband and I recently purchased our first home. So the last DIY video I did was a little while ago, but we're gonna be getting back in the groove for some fun projects. And the first that we're gonna be doing is a transformation of my kitchen that you see behind me. So I really have been dying to do a backsplash, but I wanted something that was affordable, something that wasn't that complicated because I honestly have no idea what I'm doing in terms of like grout and actual tile, and something also that could be changed if we ever change our mind in the future on our style. So I decided to research peel and stick vinyl backsplash, and I came across a company called Smart Tiles. And I'm really excited to share that they're actually partnering with me today to transform my kitchen. And I'm going to be going step by step, showing you guys how to do it, how easy it is. So on their site, they offer a ton of different styles. You can see on there that they have ones that are for any different style of kitchen that you have, just different sizes, different colors. And then what's also really great is that you can actually input the square footage of your kitchen, and they give you a little diagram to kind of base off of, as you can see here. You just input it and then it'll tell you the exact amount of tiles that you need, which is really convenient because I honestly had no idea how many I would need, and this little tool came really in handy. This is what the tiles look like when you get them. They're pretty thin, and it is, again, like I said, a peel and stick vinyl, so you don't need any extra adhesive or anything. It's just ready to go. What's really great about these, like I said, is that you can just, as simple as putting it right on your wall, and if you kind of mess up a little bit, you have leeway where you can peel it back and then reposition it if you happen to kind of be off a little bit. These are also really easy to cut. I'm going to show you the exact tools that you're going to be needing if you're interested in trying this project out for yourself. The style that I'm going to be using for my kitchen is called Oslo White XL, and it's a really pretty subway tile kind of pattern. I really like that the bricks are kind of longer than your average subway tile, but they do have that one if you do prefer the shorter. What's really cool is it's not just like a flat piece of paper or a flat sticker. It actually feels like it's got a little bit of a groove in there, which is great because you don't want it to look fake. You want it to look as realistic as possible. Another really great thing about these is that these are heat resistant. So if you're thinking about or worrying about them being behind your stove as you're cooking or anything, they're totally fine. They're not going to like melt off, or the adhesive is not going to come up. These are the most durable ones that I found. Like I said, I did a lot of research on different brands, and this is the one that was top notch in terms of quality and durability for long-term like use. Another great thing is that these are really easy to clean. So if you happen to splash food or anything that you're cooking, you just take a rag and water and you can just wipe it, and it's as simple as cleaning it like that. But yeah, let's just get started into all the tools that you'll be needing for this project. Okay, so the first thing you're obviously going to need are your smart tiles. My kitchen is about 44 square feet, and I ended up needing around 40 tiles, but obviously this is dependent to your kitchen. Aside from your actual smart tiles, you're going to be needing something to cut. I have this cutter, which I find to be really convenient. I highly recommend something like this. But if you don't have this, then the second option would be to get a cutting mat and then to use a box cutter, which you're going to be needing anyway because you're going to want to cut holes into the smart tiles where you want to fit your outlets. And I'll show you that in a little bit. You're going to be needing a flathead screwdriver because you need to take off your outlets. It's a lot easier that way. You're going to be needing a pencil and then a level or a ruler. Okay, all the outlets are off. And one thing I want to talk about before I actually jump right into the actual sticking process are a few things you need to take note of for your walls before you actually start the project. So two things. The first is that you want to make sure that your walls are nice and clean. Just any degreaser that you can find at the store would do the job with like a rag, and make sure you get them nice and clean. And you also want to make sure that the walls are dry. You don't want any wet or anything on there because this is going to affect the adhesive and how like well the actual smart tiles stick to your wall. And then another thing to take note of is that these work the best on smoother surfaces. So my walls happen to be a little bit textured, which is fine. I've tested this out before we completed the whole kitchen, or you're about to see, but I don't mind a little bit of texture. But again, this will be dependent on your personal preference and style. So just be mindful that the more textured your walls are, the more you'll kind of see it in the style of the tile. So if you don't mind that, then it's okay. If you do mind that, then you want to make sure you either sand your walls down or get it so that they're completely smooth before you apply your smart tiles. Okay, now let's go into the first step of my kitchen. And again, this is going to be dependent on your kitchen and where exactly your tiles would begin. But I'm going to show you the first cut that I made on mine and then how we're going to keep going from there. So this is how these smart tiles come. And you can see they're kind of staggered here because it's intended that once you stick one to the wall and then you start the next one, they kind of interlock almost like a puzzle or Tetris. Depending on how your kitchen is set up, you're actually going to have to create like a starting point. And this is what I did. So per the instructions and the suggestions of Smart Tile, what you do is you're just basically going to cut a line following this tile here. You're just going to cut that straight so that it creates a beautiful line. And then that's where your kitchen and your backsplash will begin. Okay guys, quick break from our installation to show you what to do when you come across an outlet. So you need a ruler, and then of course you're gonna have your smart tile here, and then you've already taken off your outlet cover. So the easiest way to do this is wherever your next smart tile is actually gonna overlap, and you can see these little flaps, that's what they're designed for. So they actually just kind of overlap like that, and then you continue the pattern of your whatever your design is that you chose. So you're going to take your ruler, and from this point here where you're going to connect your next piece, you're going to measure out where your outlet, how far it goes out. So in my case, it's 6.5. So then I went on my smart tile here, and then I put my ruler down, and then I made a mark at 6.5. And then you're going to take your ruler, and you're going to do the same thing from this part here at the top, and you're going to measure how far down the outlet comes, whatever that is for you. And then you're going to do the same on your smart tile here and then make a mark. And then you're going to go from the bottom here. And then you're going to take your ruler, figure out how far it goes up from the bottom, put your ruler down, make a mark. And then I basically just made 4 corners like this, took my straight edge or my box cutter, and then I cut a square out, and then it is a perfect fit, as you can see here. So if you come across an outlet, that is the easiest way to do it. Okay, it is the next morning. We officially finished our kitchen, and I'm so excited to show you guys the end result. It is definitely I wouldn't say difficult project, but a time-consuming project. So if you are looking to just try to knock this out in an hour or two, definitely get that out of your mind if you want it to look as perfect as it can be anyway. So I'm going to show you a tour of the kitchen now that it is daylight and you can actually get a better view. And then I'm going to come back on here and share my final thoughts about the installation process. So as you guys can see, it turned out really, really nice. My husband and I are super impressed with these, but there are some final thoughts and tips that I want to share with you guys in case you are going to be doing it in your home, and I want to spare you just time and money and all of that. So the first one is cutting mat or your cutting tools, right? So you want to make sure, in the beginning I showed you that you need definitely a box cutter and some area or something to be cutting on. We used like that straight edge machine, which came in clutch, especially for the smaller pieces. But the only issue with that was with the longer pieces, it didn't fit in that particular little machine. So if you can find like an industrial size one, that would be your best bet, honestly, because it gives you the cleanest, just most precision with cuts. But if you can't, then you definitely, in addition to that, because I still recommend you get one of those, even if it's only a small one, also get a large cutting mat with your box cutter, because for the longer pieces, you can just go ahead and measure on there and then cut. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is to make sure that you want to definitely only make adjustments 2 to 3 times, because if not, it's gonna mess with the adhesive of the tiles. And you want to make sure that these are gonna stay as sticky as possible. So, you know, it is forgiving. You can move them around. Just make sure you do that about 2 to 3 times. The next tip is to pay attention to the pattern. So if you're gonna be using subway tile like I am, then it's going to be, you need to pay attention to the staggered lines in your tiles. This obviously varies if this might not apply to your particular pattern. But the main thing you want to do is make sure that when you're cutting, because you're going to have extra pieces. So one sheet of this Oslo white is about, I want to say 15 inches or so. But then if that's not enough, you're going to have maybe about 4 inches up top. So when you're cutting these 4 inches, you want to make sure that you're paying attention that the lines are meeting up to continue the pattern that's below it, or else it's going to look off. I'm speaking from experience because we did this a few times and we had to recut and redo it. So just pay attention to the pattern before you cut. Also, under the cabinets, if this is, I would have assumed this is where you're putting your backsplash, maybe not, but if you're doing it in your kitchen under the cabinets, then be mindful that you have to not assume that it's the same spacing all the way across. So in our case, we found that out as well, that under some cabinets, for whatever reason, the extra pieces that we had to cut were, let's say, 4 inches on one and then only 2 on another. So you don't want to waste your time by pre-cutting all the tiles, your smart tiles, to fit, assuming that it's going to be the same all around, only to find out that for whatever reason, the lengths are different, and that's just going to be a waste of time. So like I mentioned before, on Smart Tiles' website, they have a calculator that allows you to see how many tiles roughly you'll need depending on the square footage of your kitchen. Now, whatever that number is, I would say minimum add 5 tiles to that, maybe even 10, but definitely at least 5, because it is pretty much a guarantee that you're going to make mistakes. It's impossible for you to get this perfect, I would say, across the board the first try. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself some wiggle room for error. Also, scraps do come in handy, because if your kitchen is like mine, there are some kind of awkward spots where you do just need one little piece to kind of finish off the pattern, and that's where those extra pieces will come in handy. Those are my final thoughts and tips on this project. Overall, my husband and I are really impressed with this product. I will do an update over time, so let you know the longevity of the product, because I obviously can't speak on that. But prior to this, I did research, and this particular brand was the top for being able to last for years. So I'm hoping that's going to be the same case for my kitchen. So if you want more information on the particular product and style that we use, then make sure to just hit the arrow on the drop box. I have all the information linked there. And be sure to like and subscribe, because like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this is one of many DIY projects that my husband and I are going to be working on. And I would love for you guys to join in on all the transformations. Until next time, guys, I'll see you then.